go ahead and call to order. This is our February 16th meeting of the current Budget and Audit Committee. Just a quick, I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. First item of business is the approval of minutes from our January meeting. You have those. I believe those were sent out yesterday. I'm assuming everybody's had a chance to look through those. There's no corrections or additions. Those will be approved as submitted. All right, we'll move on to item 3A, report on revenues. Bobby, can you?
Can I have this one back? Just got my notes on.
Sure.
Here you go.
While he's collecting that.
I'm good. We're ready to
Good?
go.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Pass this one around
Sure.
first. The first report making its rounds would be the monthly report of selected revenue accounts that we've been looking at the last few months. And I think the good news is the favorable trends continue for the most part. I guess the only area that we were lagging just a little bit would be tax equivalent payments. And the three comments I would offer there, I haven't had a chance to track down. Some of that could be a timing issue. And I know we have a payment from the health system that's pending as well. That could be part of that as well. Local sales tax, 9.7% favorable variance compared to last year. This is not compared to budget now, compared to last year. City stickers up 4%, state sales tax up 7%, and hotel motel tax up 10.7%.
Quick question on this, and refresh my memory. Does this number reflect any distribution on the school sales?
This is the gross number.
This is gross number.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And by the way, this is also this is cash basis.
Okay.
Right. So, okay. So this month I brought, this may be the first time I've brought this. I'm not sure if you can pass this around. This is a copy of a little weekly property tax collection report that we look at each week. I know it's a little busy, and I know you're not used to looking at it, but the left side here is the 2022 taxes, kind of weekly numbers, and the right side is 2021 taxes. I guess I would start by just looking at the top up there. I guess the total tax levy, if you'll think about it that way, both including the regular taxes, pilot payments, and public utilities. So for 2022, you can see that totals $35,556,000 compared to $34,991,000 for last year. So that increase is just a myriad of reasons why it might be up like that. But that's about $565,000 or 1.6%. And then you can see the weekly collection numbers. This would be week to date, year to date for each of these weeks, and the remaining property taxes to be collected. So if you just kind of drop down to the most recent week that we reported here, the week of February the 10th, you see this year we're at $33,293,000. Last year we were at $32,176,000. So that's an increase of about $1.16 million or 3.4%. So some of that would be due to the fact that we had more to collect, right? But that does indicate that we've kind of caught back up, kind of where we would expect to be on our property tax collection.
Excellent.
So, any questions about that? Okay. It's been. I will say it's been a challenge. It's been an adventure. Beginning with the whole, y'all know all the reappraisal stuff, but it just seems like it started with that, and then we had computer issues, the postal. It's been a challenge year, but I think we've caught back up. So it's kind of where we expected to be. So,
any questions for Bobby on his report on revenues? Moving on to item B, annual financial statement update.
okay. Sure, I'm happy to report on this. However, the report is not going to be as favorable as the tax collection, revenue collection reports might be. But here's where we are on the FY22 audit. It's still pending. It's still a work in progress, and I reached out to our audit firm just the last day or two, and they indicated to me that maybe in another week, they hope to have, provide me some draft numbers for the audit, and that would allow me to then complete the management discussion and analysis. I've already got it written, but you have to put numbers in there, right? So that might be, you know, in the next week or two. Now, there's also the audit for one of the city's component units, the CRA, the Community Redevelopment, that is still pending as well. It's a similar situation to what we had last year, and our audit firm's not able to complete the city's audit until they have that completed component unit audit. So that's pending as well. I would, you know, in all transparency, you know, this year has been the audit for this year has been a real challenge for the city. You know, our most experienced staff person, the finance supervisor, been here 10 or 12 years or so. She accepted another position back in late August or September, somewhere along in there. So that's, and she was a wealth of knowledge and a hard worker. So we had to kind of work through that. You know, the time we're spending on Tyler Munis, that's time well spent, but it is a ton of time. You know, I jumped off the call to come up here, and we're pretty much right now on a 3-day a week, you know, 8-hour, 9-hour day, 3 days a week every. It's been that way for a while now, but that's time well spent, and you know, I don't know if we're going to make it or not, but we're working to get. I don't know why that we won't make it, but we're at stretch run for a July 1 live day, so working really hard on that. And I will tell you, and I know those of you who are on the committee in the past, and the mayor and Councilman Taylor are familiar with this. We're really challenged from a technology standpoint and responding to the auditors, and we contracted with a new audit firm for the FY21 audit, right? So it was a challenge, and that's no different this year, where the previous firm that we were with, you know, the city had been contracted with them for a decade or longer, and we had worked through. It was just easier.
You got used to them.
Yeah, they got used to us, we got used to them. So that's been a little bit of a challenge as well. I mentioned tax season already. I will tell you, it's probably been 2 months, at least 6 or 7 or 8 weeks from the last request that I had for information or questions from the auditors. That kind of suggests to me that, you know, the CRA audit pending. I'm not sure how they're. Some of the faces we saw last year we haven't seen or heard from this year. I don't know if they've had staffing challenges as well or not. But at the end of the day, we are where we are, and we have to publish in March. So that's when it's going to be. Okay. I'll keep y'all posted on that.
So,
Go
ahead.
Well, I was just going to ask, as this is, I'm doing everything for the first time in this capacity,
Sure, yeah.
What is normal?
Well, yeah.
Because, you know, obviously much smaller audits, but at the Star Center, we had a couple of years where the thing just drug out to the point where we had to file an extension with the state to be able to solicit charitable contributions because the audit was not done.
Yeah.
Like, when do we go, this is not an acceptable?
Yeah, well, historically, well, first off, it sort of starts with the comptroller's office. So
Okay.
without an extension, our audit has to be published by December 31st.
Okay.
And generally, you know, you've been around longer than I have, but I know the years that I've been here, it's generally been in December.
So normal would be in December?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
For the city anyway, that would be normal.
Okay.
Last year, with the switch to a new audit firm, and we've had, last year, the CRA's audit, since they're a component unit, we have to include that in our audit. So we cannot publish our audit until we have all component units
Right.
submit theirs.
Okay.
And so we're still in that holding pattern now for the CRA audit,
Okay.
which was the case last year as well. So we have to have all those numbers in to be able to complete and submit.
And is the CRA audit firm local?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
And that hadn't been an issue until last year,
okay.
to my knowledge.
Right. I think that's true.
But we have to, there's some federal guidelines, I think, on the
Yeah.
March submit, it has to be
Yeah.
submitted.
Okay.
Yeah,
Isn't
a
that
single
correct?
audit.
Right.
yeah.
Single audit requires nine
Single-
months.
Yeah, and by the way, the only thing that I'm aware of with the auditors that they might need ours, there's some, I guess I think y'all call it like attribute testing on the COVID relief funds that we got that, for the single audit, that's the one thing I know they've not completed. But, I mean, we've given them everything they've asked for, it's just they've got to do the testing, so,
Okay.
yeah. And I'm confident that'll work out.
Have they reached out to you yet to talk about the new crosswalk that's gonna be required this coming year?
Well, just in passing, that's, if I understand it correctly, that's an audit requirement, right? So the auditors have to, yeah, so
Yeah.
basically what Fancher's talking about is, the state has worked out a path forward for a uniform
Chart of
chart
accounts,
of accounts,
basically.
just about, and kind of, it's good the way they've done it as far as the city standpoint, because the kind of the responsibility or burden to get that done is kind of falling primarily, you know, on the audit firms as a part of their contract to audit cities, so.
Hmm.
Yeah, so, yeah, that will be good.
Just a new requirement that requires us to verify now that
Right.
this is all done.
And I guess the final thing that I know it slowed us down here, readily acknowledge that, and and it may have slowed down other municipalities, and that may have contributed to Maughan and Jenkins Schedule 2 was the Gadsby pronouncements, so particularly, is it 87?
87.
Yeah, on leases, that was a big lift, for all cities and audit firms, and, so anyway, that could play the factor in where we are too.
Any other questions for Bobby on this? Tentatively, if we expect potentially this to be closed out, published by the end of the month, could we get with them to give us a presentation in March tentatively?
Yeah, I'll give them, probably if we could go to the third
Yeah, we
Thursday,
can push to the
it
third.
might give us a better shot at getting them in March. 'Cause
Okay.
I suspect we're not the only client that they may have acknowledged this. But I'll give him that date,
Okay.
yeah.
Next, we have item C, report from our internal auditor.
All right, good morning, all.
Morning.
We have had a busy month. I'll give you a couple of highlights. We have worked really close and on municipal code review. We're really making some leeway there with, Paul is on the committee. Teresa Luna has brought many of our items to close with council, so we've been working really hard there. I've worked with technology and communications. We, on our ethical advocacy updating, we're separating the process from like internal to external, so that'll be accessible on our website. Sitting in on Tyler Muniz training as well, and still doing research and updates on our new audit policy to come. Highlights for next month, we'll start, I've already met with our clerk and leadership at City Court. We're gonna start cash handling training and safeguard review for their cash with City Court. We're gonna start on Tuesday with them, and we'll start a review of the JTA audit that's recently published, so.
Just to bring everybody up to speed, I think we'll have a vote to finalize a separate audit committee. So the duties that we've been carrying out the last 2 to 3 years will now be separated from this board, and I'll have a standalone audit committee that would effectively take place. I'm not sure about the appointment to that committee.
see what the appointment process is and then get those names.
We'll see that transition over the next couple of months.
Maybe it'd be easier to start clean with the audit committee in July.
Okay.
Okay.
So those are some of the things. I know that Tawanica's been working again on this audit policy. And so if you could have something maybe for the next month or so to bring for us to review, that would be helpful.
Sure.
Any other questions on internal audit? Budget calendar, you'll see that in your packet. Bobby, can you
Yeah,
run us through that?
yeah, so just a couple of quick comments. We're getting a late start, you know, on the budget, but we've designed a schedule here that if we stay on it, we're gonna get caught up rather quickly, hopefully. This looks a lot like what the committee has seen in the past. The city council has completed a goal-setting, planning meeting. It's already been completed, so I didn't put that on the calendar. One of the changes in this schedule, if you look at the second line there, February the 17th, which is tomorrow. Hopefully we're gonna be there, but we're working to initiate the work papers, if you will, in the process where departments submit their capital budgets. One of the changes this year is we're gonna go ahead and distribute the non-salary operating budget worksheets at the same time. Normally, that's kind of been two steps. We're gonna condense that to one step. And hopefully, we'll be able to get most of those back by March 3rd. I think that's a 2-week period if I looked at the calendar right. I think that's adequate time. Most of the departments have been thinking and working, you know, particularly on the capital side, you know, already. And we will be starting with the 5-year plan last year, right? So they'll have that as a reference. That will just need to be updated. So, so if we can stay on target there, that will kind of get us back to where we were at this time last year. So you'll see on March the 9th, which would be kind of the week following this, we'll have some compilation, hopefully, of that work for the budget committee. Right now, we've tentatively got the first city council budget work session with select department heads on March 21st, the second one the next day on March 22nd. I think we're 1 week behind where we were, you know, last year on that. Then we've got the April budget committee. We've kind of put a placeholder on here, depending on how things are going, if there's any consideration for any kind of debt issue or anything like that. We've got a placeholder on there for that in mid-April. And we've got another budget committee May, and then, you know, we'll have 2 readings with the city council at the regular meeting on June 6th. And I just tentatively dropped in a week later for the second reading on June 13th. The only other thing I would offer on it's more FYI than anything. I hope it doesn't, well, it's going to be different on the salary computation this year. This is another example of, you know, how, I'll say it in a positive way, when we get our new technology, we'll be in a lot better shape. You know, the computation of salary and benefits is just, it's massive. Excel spreadsheet, it's a real challenge if we don't change anything. But this year we'll be, I guess, implementing the first post-year following
The salary study, this new salary plan that goes in and implementing it based on their hire dates. So some employees have seen a raise already, and they'll see it. So it's not budgeting a full year of 2.5 for everyone. It's whenever throughout the year they're going to get it.
I've been working with Ms. Henning on this in a very preliminary stage. We kind of have a plan, but anytime you start changing these gigantic Excel spreadsheets, can get complicated. So, but I'm confident we'll get it done. So,
Bobby, one thing to look at. Let's look at moving that March 9th to March the 16th for the budget committee review.
Sure. Is that, did I
That
pick
would-
up the second, third? Yeah,
That would be
okay,
the
yeah.
third, and that would
Yeah.
give us
Yeah,
some
we can
time
do that.
there for the
Yeah.
auditors as well.
Yeah, I'll make that change.
And then, can you and I work on projected revenue
Yeah,
around that same time
Sure.
period? So when we enter into this
Yeah.
first council
Yeah,
budget work session.
That's,
That-
that's
that's a
about the
good-
time
that's
we
a- that's
get
a
state
good-
numbers is around
yeah,
that time.
that's a good point. You know, I wish we were able to do the revenue projections first,
Mhm.
Yeah.
but you're not able to, and with municipal government, because a lot of the things we depend on, you know, tax information, projections from the state on state shared revenue, when that, you know, that's the biggest component right there. We just don't have that information now to work on the revenue yet, but, and I really haven't investigated where the property assessor's office is in that process, and I certainly haven't seen anything from the state on
No, me either.
when to expect anything, so, but yeah, we can do that as well.
Okay.
I'll note that.
Any other comments, questions on the upcoming budget calendar? If not, we'll move on to our only item of business, review of a budget amendment for recreation and parks to reallocate previously approved capital.
Yeah, this
Yeah,
is, we
either way.
can talk about the amendment, but,
We need that.
we had 70,000 budgeted for, the refurbishing, tearing up the floor, subfloor at South Jackson. After getting a second opinion, after the capital budget was passed, they just refinished it, so, they spent a fraction of what they had budgeted. And so the, Recreation and Parks Department's requesting 20,000 from that line item, which has more than, I think, almost nearly 60,000 still left in the line item to update the bathrooms at Concord Park.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
So we got a motion to recommend this to the city council.
And Fancher second.
And any other discussion on this? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, state nay. Any abstaining, motion passes. Any other business that we got today?
Did we do number 2, Paul?
Approved, yes, I think we stated that they'd be approved.
Got it,
unless
okay.
any-
I just
as
wasn't paying
sent out.
attention. Apologize.
Any other business? If not, we will adjourn.
Complain about those star auditors,
Probably was. You know, it's so funny, because if I remember